It looks horrendous. Horrendous. I know what you're thinking. What on earth was that rig you just saw there? How on earth could that possibly catch any fish? To be honest, I thought exactly the same, and I saw it, and I saw the big shots and things in the loop, and I thought, ugh! And then I used it. I cannot believe the difference that made to my fishing over a period of 3 or 4 years, back in the day. And it was Giles Cochran, a Welsh angler, very good angler, who actually invented it. And I was working for Angling Times Advanced magazine at the time, which later became Into Angling Times. And he used to write a monthly column for us, and he used to often cover this rig. And I saw it, and I was a bit sceptical at first, as I'm sure everyone else will be. And the first time I put it on was at a venue called Decoy Lakes. And I put it on just messing about one afternoon when we were testing some poles, which we did sort of every few weeks. And we get every new pole from all the manufacturers they'd send in before they went out. And I put it on, and it settled and things, went on, fish on. Went under, fish on, fish on, fish on. And you hardly missed a bite, and it was absolutely brilliant for me. And as I say, for 3 or 4 years, I never put another hook on for F1s on the bottom in the cold. And then I just kind of grew out of it, and I don't really know why, because it was such a good method for me. And I quit looking in the garage, and I've just found my old hook length boxes, and this is how back in the day this was. We're using choppy hook length boxes, which are wooden ones with pins. And nowadays, nobody uses these anymore because the plastic ones available are just so good. With these, you used to have pins come out and everything. You'd get there in the morning, you'd open it up, and you'd have 3 pins out and about 50 hook lengths of a great ball. But yeah, I've still got some of these hook lengths here. I'm going to show you them and how they work. There's a few here, and I've tied them to 18s and 16s B911s eyed. That was just like the only hook I used for F1s back in the day. Because I had the shot so near the hook, they're actually the 6-inch long hook lengths. You don't need a really short hook length with this. So they're very, very simple. And you've basically got a loop in the bottom of the rig, so the hook has gone into the line, and you formed an overhand loop. It's an eyed hook. You've got an 1.5-inch loop, about that long loop. It's tiny little tag that's been trimmed off. Then another inch or 1.5 inch above that, there's 2 number 8 shots together. Now, the principle of this and the principle of this loop is that when a fish takes the bait, it swivels. Okay, it swivels like that, and it's I don't know why, it's just different for the fish to suck in. Maybe it's easier or what, I don't know, but it just they just take it in, and because you've got them 2 number 8 shots so close to the hook, you've got such a good indication. And as I say, it looks horrendous, but it honestly works so well. And what used to happen is used to have your float dotted right down. I've got some rigs here, I'll show you in a minute. And you used to get like a little indication. Sometimes your float just used to tremor or something. It didn't always go under. Or sometimes with this rig, it also lifted fully out like that, the bristle, because it was almost like the lift method with a shot close to the hook. And whatever happened, sometimes you just got a feeling, that little tiny indication, that's a fish, and you just lift it. And every time it was on, it was just so positive. And this was a really, really good method for small F1s, okay? You had to use this on a flat bottom, right? So you had to have like almost like a table, really, a flat bottom. Or if it was on an island, a slope. I used to use it on slopes as well, as long as it was reasonably flat, okay? Because what you didn't want is you needed to fish this rig as close to dead depth as possible. So it didn't really work if it was over depth, because the loop was kind of on the ground flat, and you didn't have that same effect. And likewise, you didn't want to be under depth either. These are the rigs I used to use with it. I found one the other day, and because you had them 2 number 8s here, they're incorporated into the shotting. So you had to make rigs up specifically for the loop method. And mine actually have got a little label there that say loop on. And so you had to undershot your rigs in the tub, well, or basically take into account the 2 number 8s that are going to be on your hook length, that they're going to affect the shotting as well. So you had to shot them on with the 2 number 8s in the tub or your shot bottle, and then you had to take them off. So, as I said, these are 4x14s. This is what I used to use all the time anywhere I used to fish KC carp or chimps. And that's about a 1.5mm bristle, hollow bristle, which is absolutely perfect for the lift method, the loop method, sorry. You didn't want too thin a bristle, okay, because you just foul up fish, or even with the thickish bristle, you still got the indication. And as I say, this was really, really good for kind of small F1s. And for a while, Lindome had stocking procedures in winter of these small stocky F1s, and you go in with this rig and it looked horrible. It just bombed straight to the bottom, and it'd settle and it'd dink and it'd be on, and you bring it back. It was just as simple as that. So because I'm fishing for F1s, I'd normally use an 010 or an 012 hook length, but they're not going to show up great, so I'm going to use a much thicker line and a bigger hook just to exaggerate it so you can see it properly. First thing I'm going to do, take the hook, put the line through the eye, okay, and then hold the hook at one end with your thumb and your first finger, okay. Do the same at the other end, giving yourself about 3 inch of line. Now what I want you to do is take the line and double it back over itself like that, okay, forming a loop. And at this point, if you just wedge that bit of line between your left hand thumb and first finger like that, you can then let go of the other hand. And you need to do this. Right, now take your finger of your right hand, put it through that loop that you've created and twist it, okay? Now I want you to, that new loop you've just created, I want you to put the hook through that loop, okay? And pull it out the other side. And that is why it's called a figure of 8 loop, because you can see the figure developing. Now at this point you can control how big or how small a loop you make simply by which side of the figure of 8 you actually grip. So if I want to make this smaller, I can actually grab that right hand side and pull. If I want it to make it bigger, I grab that left hand side with my thumb and pull, and it'll trap the line at that other side and make it bigger. As it stands, I'm going to pull and see how it goes. And that's looking a little bit too big, so I'll grip the right hand side and I'll pull down that side, okay? Now it's coming still a little bit too big, so I'll grab the right hand side and pull the line from the left, okay? And if that's a little bit too small, you can then just grab the left hand side, and that's looking about right to me. This point, wet the loop, back we go, always wet your knots and pull it tight, okay? And that is about the size of the loop you want, okay? You make sure it's not too twisted. One twist there is fine, but as long as you've got that, that loop, it's not all twisted up, that's what you want. All you need to do now is trim your tag right down, like so. And there you have the basis of the loop forming. And now you can see I've attached 2 number 8s and a very thick line just above it. So the whole thing is about 2.5 to 3 inches long. Perfect. Right, so that's how you make this hook length. And I probably should point out as well, I think it's more of a cold water thing. So October maybe, November, right through to March, April time. Any time you're fishing sort of soft baits, expander pellets, corn, on the hook, feeding things like micros or maybe a little bit ground bait, and you're fishing solely for F1s, it really, really works, okay? I never found it any good for maggot, and I think that's because with maggots, you want a longer hook length, you want a bit of a fall of the bait with maggots, you don't want too great bulky shot near the hook. And also in maggots, I think F1s in particular, well, to be honest, all fish, they tend to hold on to maggots for a lot longer than they do, more particle baits, pellets, corn, meat, things like that. And I don't know, because it's a natural bait, a wriggly bait, they tend to, just grab them and hold on. Whereas with these other baits, they tend to suck them in, and if they feel something wrong, they spit them straight out. And that's why this rig was so good, because when they, as I say, you got that indication very, very quickly before they had a chance to spit it out. Just because of that, them 2 number 8s, I think. And I don't know if the loop actually works or not, or if it's just, if it's theory or if there's anything to it, but it never did me any harm, and I always caught so many fish that I left the loop on. You also used to foul looking on carp on this because I think the shots were hitting them, that the 2 big shots were hitting the bodies. And for that reason, I think that's why I stopped using it a bit, because I went to a straight hook, a spade end hook, because more and more carp coming into it. So as I say, give it a go. Why not? It's another method. It's not the be all and end all, but you never know. It might just start catching you an awful lot of fish. It's good for skimmers as well, but just remember, you need to fish it at dead depth. So plumb up to the base of your float bristle, okay? Fish it like that. Good luck. Let me know how you get on.